Hey everybody, we are here for another sparring breakdown. I have Mr. Dominic here with me, and today we're going to break down Mr. Bobby Lacy here on the right and Mr. Langlois here on the left. So we'll go ahead and get into this. So the first thing I notice is the little tiny steps that they're taking to basically see if they can gain some ground, if they are going to get kicked at. It's all these little mental games to see what the other person is going to do. It looks like they're just walking around if you don't know what you're looking at. But
really just each other out. Yeah.
Right. So the beginning of the round, you want to learn about your partner. The second half of the round, you're going to be kicking and punching based on what you've learned, right? So let's go back a little bit and start over. Okay, so lots of punches. Let's go back and look at that here. So when Bobby punches, it's a good connection for that one punch. Langlois already coming with his punch, and he knows Bobby's back is going to be turned. So Bobby hits one, and then he's in a horrible position here, right? So Langlois starts number 2, 3, 4, 5, and Bobby tries to jump out of it and just doesn't have the airspace to do it.
That one punch is pretty good, though.
It was a good connection. So now we're getting more into kicks here.
If you haven't been hit by that punch, it's an experience.
It is. You learn a lot about yourself. You get hit with something like that.
Going back to the going back to the movement you mentioned, feeling each other out. It's interesting that they're playing the same game, but they also move very different. You can tell that they have a slightly different objective in mind. Mr. Lacy is prepared to punch, but it's not really the game that he's trying to play. Whereas, Langlois' posture is a little bit more geared towards that punching that he wants to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we'll see this little exchange here. So leg checks back and forth. And then side kick, couple, triple. I think the second one hit to the head. And then, again, you look at where the punches are going. So, yep, that front hand, kind of a hook punch, almost like a jab hook punch, the way he throws that, going right to the head again.
I'll tell you, that punch just blows my mind. There is no movement that does not need to be there when he throws that. It is so hard to see.
Mm-hmm.
And I swear he can throw it from anywhere. It can be at his hip like it is now, or it's up by his head. He's clearly worked on throwing that punch. Very tight, very quick.
Yeah.
Bobby.
Right.
Mr. Lacy.
There it was again, yeah. So he closes with the kick, and then immediately to plan B, which is that punch. So they both kind of run into each other a little bit with the kicks, and then Bobby immediately, boom, with the punch, and then a kick on the way out, too.
It's also kind of unique. I don't know that you normally see someone leading with that left foot like Mr. Lacy's trying to.
Yeah, he
squared up on that side is a little different.
Yeah, I know he does prefer left foot forward quite a bit. I do think he's right-handed and right side dominant, but he's just a left-footed kicker. So there's that same. Okay.
Great. I don't know if this is what you're about to point out, but I mean, that was a perfect example of being just outside of what Langlois was throwing and just ready to completely close the gap once that technique passes by.
Yeah. So
just
what I was
outside, annoyingly outside of it, right?
Right. Again, just back to the beginning of the round, you're learning about what your partner does. He throws the same combination literally 2 times in a row, right? So Langlois with the round kick, spin side kick. He doesn't quite commit on the round kick, but he reaches out for the side kick. Bobby's just outside, like you said, and then immediately almost looks like a leg check attempt, and then into the spin, and Bobby jams it, it looks like, with his right leg kind of being up, and then throws that punch again.
Yeah. Perfect timing on that. That's what you're looking for, right? Those opportunities to
There's
capitalize
a
on
good
what
kick.
you've already seen before. You know, right in line with, you know, looking for those repeat moments. I think the real strategy is if you can make the moment happen. You know, so if you can figure out what position you need to be in, distance wise and posture wise or whatever, to invite the technique you want him to throw. So, you know, if you want him to punch versus kick, you got to figure out what posture, what's position is making them do that. And a lot of it you can see with how they change their upper body in relation to one another, as well as the distance.
Yeah, and even at this moment, this frame, Bobby has more of his weight over his back leg. Langlois is front side heavy, and they're both ready for the other person to do something. So if Bobby comes in, he can push back off of this front leg, and if Langlois commits and moves forward more, Bobby's leg is ready to kick with it. So again, shifting your weight front to back and you just being essentially ready for whatever is thrown at you is, you know, sparring at the highest level.
When I feel like, you know, maybe 80% of this round has been, of course, Bobby's doing the opposite of what I'm saying right now, but most of this round has been Mr. Lacy moving back and making Langlois come to him, which is part of that strategy. He's trying to get Langlois to overcommit and reach so that he can come in when he's off balance. There's a reason his hands are down, right? I mean, Bobby's got that posture down because he wants Langlois to attack. He's putting that head forward because he wants him to attack.
Yep, there he goes again. So just jamming him at the right time. That was good right there.
Everything Langlois is throwing, he's got to overreach because, you know, Mr. Lacy's got that distance control down.
Mm-hmm.
He knows where he has to be so that he's just outside of that you know, reach that Mr. Langlois got to connect. So you watch Langlois, he's adding movement with the attack to try and make up for it, but Bobby's right outside of it.
Mm-hmm. So let's see what he throws here. So it's a rear leg front kick, and then Bobby moves back enough to open up the door for this 360 side kick, I guess, and his hand goes up, thinking he's going to the head, and it connects right there, right above the belt line.
He's mad. His timing was off, but just a little bit, but he was ready to jam just like he did on that spin side.
Right, again, that's the first time he's thrown a kick like that. So Bobby's stood in a position to think that the spin was coming again, that he's thrown probably 4 times this round, and then that's why that worked. So that's it right there. So yeah, that was a fun round. So again, going back to the beginning, just watching their footwork. Watch how they shift their weight here, front to back, wide stance to narrow, wide to narrow, and they're trying to work angles on each other. Yeah, so he gets the punch exchange there. So Bobby adjusts. Becomes a little bit more of a kicker and using his feet more.
Sure. You know, my favorite thing about that punch sequence when he caught Mr. Lacy, I was actually just talking to one of my advanced classes about this the other day, is when you have that moment where you've completely got them. I don't know if enough people take advantage of that moment, and you don't need to hit your partner hard. You don't need to overdo it. I thought what Langlois did was perfect, but you've got the moment where their back is turned, they're off balance. you get in there with 3 or 4 things and really capitalize on that moment, especially for high rank sparring. You don't get those moments often. Like you said at the beginning, I mean, it's a big chess match at this level, and you'll spend a good chunk of the round waiting for your partner to just step wrong or open up or get off balance. And, so a lot of it is a mind game and being 2 or 3 steps ahead of your partner. But when you get that moment, you've got to capitalize on it just so it becomes your instinct and your reaction.
Yeah, so if you notice, every exchange Bobby has, he never lands where his back is turned to Langlois ever again. Never make that, it's the old fool me once, quote or whatever. Yeah. Just this little exchange here at the beginning where he throws something, kind of overcommits it with the punch, and he connects, but he passes through with it. And then now Langlois hits with 2, 3, 4. So Bobby never does that again, which is smart. Yeah, he tries it right there, but again, Bobby stays facing his partner, right? And then moves back instead of turns out of the attack, and then, does pretty well the rest of it. So I don't think there's really too much left, to cover with this. Again, like you said, it's just a chess match, right? You just watching the footwork, if you don't know what you're seeing, all of this stuff, and the shifting of the shoulders, it makes you think, okay, is a punch coming? Are they going to do some kind of big movement with their spin? What's going to happen? And just standing like this, or standing now, his weight is more over his back leg. What are they going to do? And that's just the mind game you have with your partner.
If you leave it right here, when you watch this, I think they were just strictly moving for a good 10 seconds there. I don't think people understand that is sparring. Like, you don't have to be kicking and punching to be sparring out there. And so much of what gets kind of overlooked or brushed past is just, that movement to set up the kick and punches, the posture and what that does. I mean, I don't know what you think of it looking at Mr. Lacy for the first time, but that is actually a very intimidating posture if you're across from it. And it's because the experienced guy knows that although his hands are down, that is not a good place to go in. Like that is a trap. But when that shoulder comes forward or that hip shifts, there's a lot going on there if you're paying attention to the movement, and that becomes a skill set no different than a punch or kick. So if you know how to stand and where to stand and what to shift, you can make a lot of things happen without throwing a single kick or punch. So I love watching these guys posture because they're both doing the same thing in very, very different ways, and it's just unique to their style and how they prefer to spar.
Mm-hmm. And again, you got left foot forward and right foot forward, so that takes certain things away from him, and that takes certain things away from him, and it just again adds to the the mystique of whatever they're going to throw next. So. Now, again, he shifts back. We could break this down over and over again, but I think that's pretty good. That's a breakdown. These two are always fun to spar. This was at our Masters experience, so, if you weren't able to be there this year, it's a phenomenal event. Obviously, you can see we're sparring on mats at this event, and this was probably after 20 other sparring rounds, so who knows what they would be like if they were both fresh, sparring each other versus 20, 25 rounds into the day. But these guys spar 10 times. It's going to be a different winner every time. The more they learn about each other and adapt, that's what high-level sparring is all about. So, yeah, that's a breakdown. See you guys next time.